Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Weights and Wealth. I'm Nick, back here with Ted again. And we would like to give Mark from YouTube a shout out. Thanks for commenting on our video. If you would like to receive a shout out on the podcast, just like, share, comment, interact with us in some way, and you might get a shout out.
Yes. We're also starting a new segment here on Weights and Wealth. For each episode, we'll have probably either a weights wisdom of the week or a wealth wisdom of the week. So today's version of that is a weights wisdom of the week, and it is work out less, gain more. More gains by working out less.
So does this mean don't go 7 days a week?
Yeah, don't go 7 days a week. You build muscle on your rest days. When you're sleeping, when you're recovering is when you're actually building that muscle tissue. So I know a lot of guys that will try to do 2-a-days to build muscle. They're running in the morning and lifting in the afternoon. If they just lowered their volume a little bit and worked out 4 or 5 days a week, they'd probably be much better off and gain a little bit more muscle. Yeah. So that is our weights wisdom of the week. Do you argue with that at all, Nick? I know you're a big 6 day a week guy in the gym.
I'm a big 6 day a week guy. I just enjoy going a lot. But I do tend to keep my workout shorter when I'm going 6 days a week. So I don't know. I'll do like a 45-minute for 6 days a week. I found it works well for me.
Yeah. Lowering that volume a little bit.
Yeah. But if I'm only going 3 or 4 days a week, I will lengthen the workout a little bit.
Yeah, me too. We came across an article where I think it's a bill in Massachusetts, but for prisoners or inmates, they're offering, if the bill was passed, they would offer 1 year off of their sentence if they donate organs. So they're basically trading their organs for less prison time. What do you think about this?
Well, is it like a specific organ? Is it, if you give a kidney, you get like 1 year off? If you, I'm thinking heart, but I guess that wouldn't work. You
give a heart, your entire sentence is done. Yeah, it's I don't think it's ethically a very good move. I don't know. I feel like it's a very slippery slope, but I feel like you're at that point kind of just using prisoners as a harvest center for organs. I know that some people in the article that I found were arguing that there's a lot of people that are always waiting for organs, and I think like 17 people die a day waiting for organ transplants. So they're arguing they would help people and it would help the inmates get time off their sentence. But I still feel like it's ethically a pretty gray area that can lead to some bad outcomes, I think.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember studying Immanuel Kant in philosophy at all?
Not really. I wasn't very good at those classes.
Well, I was a big fan of his, and he pretty much said that you can't use a human being as a means to an end. And
is that the moral imperative? Is that what that's called?
I don't remember. It might be. Yeah. But that would be using a human as a means to an end. And plus, I can also see it going down the road where you're imprisoning people because certain people need organs. And I don't really like that incentive. I don't really see that happening anytime soon, but I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah, it's just one of those slippery slope things that could happen if you introduce something like this bill.
Yeah, it's some Black Mirror type stuff.
Yeah. If you guys have any input on this, be sure to comment or DM us or let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Nick, what is our topic for today?
So I will be talking about credit cards and debt. What are you talking about?
I will be segueing off of that to talk about big wins and little wins.
Okay, yeah. So we'll start talking about the credit score and just kind of what goes into it and how it works, because it's a mysterious number for a lot of people. So the first part of credit score, and the biggest part, is your payment history. It makes up 35% of your credit score. And this is just pretty much if you pay your debts on time. You know, if you're making at least the minimum payment for your credit cards, you're paying all your installment loans in full each month. I think even your bills are factored into this. So if you don't pay like a utility bill or your rent or something like that, that will hurt your payment history.
You said that's 35%. Do you know if someone misses a payment, if it has a bigger impact, if it's a bigger payment that they miss, or does that not matter? Is it just by number of payments you've missed?
You know, I'm not sure about that. I could find that out and get back to you. I wouldn't think it would matter, but it might.
Okay. And is that why having a longer credit history is good for your credit score? Is it basically like a fraction, like this many missed over this many total payments?
I know there's a certain amount of time where missed payments will fall off of what shows up on the credit report.
Okay.
I think it's 7 years or something like that. Or no, that's bankruptcy. I don't know.
Yeah, bankruptcy 7. So it's very important if you have a credit card or as soon as you open a credit card to immediately connect it to your checking account or whatever account you're using so that you don't miss a payment and forget that you didn't have it hooked up to something that's going to automatically pay it or schedule your payment or however you do it. I prefer auto pay.
Yeah, same. I just have like the auto pay set up just to pay the bill in full each month. Yeah. And it makes it so easy. Don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, and then you don't have these kind of outstanding debts where you're just kind of pushing your spending out if you're only doing the minimum payment instead of paying in full.
Right. And plus you're getting hit with like 20-something% interest if you're just making that minimum payment.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, because like the minimum payment is set up so that your entire credit card bill will be paid off in a certain amount of time, and you're getting hit with their absurd interest rates during that entire period. So moving on, the total amount owed is 30% of your credit score. And this just kind of makes sense. It's your, they factor in your debt to income. You know, if you're only making $50,000 a year, but you already have $1 million in debt, you're going to be a higher risk if somebody's going to loan you something. And then length of credit history is 15%. I think when you really start to get a good credit length is around 8 years or so. Okay. So it definitely takes a while to build up credit, which is why it's good to get a credit card as soon as you turn 18. I know I got a credit card as soon as I turned 18 and just started building my credit. And I mean, by now it's 7 years later. And when I go to check my credit, it still just says that I have a fair credit history.
Oh, just fair.
Yeah, because I've only had it, I guess it's been 6 years now. Okay. So I think once you hit 8 years, it really starts to help your credit score, which is why it's really hard to have a great credit score when you're in your early 20s.
Okay.
And then the different types of credit is 10%. So there are a few different kinds. There's secured and unsecured credit. Secured credit is when there's collateral. So think about like an auto loan. If you default on your auto loan, they can come take your car. Mortgage, they can come take your house. Mm-hmm. And then there's unsecured. So that's things like credit cards. They don't really have anything to come after. And utility bills, they can't take anything from you if you don't pay your bill. And that kind of goes into then our installment loans. Those are things like student loans, mortgages, auto loans, stuff like that, where you make a fixed payment each month. Okay. And then you have your revolving credit, which is like your monthly bills and your credit cards.
Okay.
Where you can use a certain amount each month, and then they just bill you at the end of the month and you pay that off.
Yeah.
Moving on, and then new credit is the final 10% of your credit score. This is just because they don't like to see you opening many accounts in a row, because it just kind of raises a red flag. It's like, why does this person need this much credit? If you go open like 3 credit cards in the span of a month, they're like, can this person manage this additional credit that they can just spend?
Yeah.
So, and then, just like a general rule of thumb, like a great credit score is 800, very good, 740 is 799, good, 670 is 739, fair is 580 to 699, and 580 and under is not good. You don't want to be there.
How hard is it to reverse your credit? If you were like 18 years old and you missed a couple payments, how hard is it to start getting up to those better credit scores? Do you pretty much just have to wait until that time that they fall off of your credit, or can you make improvements while they're still on your credit history?
I mean, you can always make the improvement just by paying all your bills on time. From that point on, they will take a decent amount of time to fall off because, you have to be able to show that you can handle money before people will give you more of it, which is another tough part about not having great credit because it makes it harder to get loans and credit cards in general. I know there are secured credit cards that some companies offer where I think you essentially load it like a debit card.
Okay.
And that's a way to build credit for somebody who doesn't have great credit.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
And now we'll talk a little bit about Dave Ramsey. He is
All right.
very, very anti-credit card, which I don't really agree with. I don't know. I think that credit's a very necessary part of life. It helps you get a mortgage. Most people will need a mortgage. Dave is not against a mortgage, but a good credit score will get you a lower rate. A lot of people can't afford a car. It's tough to pay cash for a car. Sure. Unless you get like a real beater.
98 Corolla. $200. Then just pay for repairs every month.
Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing with getting like a used car is you end up paying a ton on repairs, which is, I don't know. I got a new car when I bought a car just because I didn't want to deal with having to pay for repairs every month, having to worry about bringing it in.
Yeah. So Dave Ramsey's very against people using credit, but having a credit history will help you get those better rates. So if you can use credit in a smart way and you know that you're going to be able to pay off what you're spending with your credit card on, then building credit would probably be a useful tool, right?
Yeah. But one of the types of credit I would definitely stay away from is the buy now, pay later. That's become huge. I know you can do it with a phone that's been around for a while. I think they're even moving into doing things like groceries right now. You can do buy now, pay later for your groceries.
The higher standard guys were talking about how Domino's Pizza now allows you. It's like, all right, let me make installments on this $8 pizza. Like, if you can't afford the $8 pizza, don't buy it.
I want to know who's making money off of these installments loans.
I don't know. I don't know if it's the company that is selling you the product or if it's a company that's doing the payment system. I don't know.
I feel like there has to be some third party that's making money because I don't really think that they charge you much interest unless you miss a payment, which is where they make a lot of their money.
Yeah. It probably is the third party because then the producer that's selling you the product is able to sell more. So that's their benefit. If they're making it more accessible to people by having like a lower upfront cost, then they're going to sell more probably.
That's true.
That's probably their benefit that they're reaping from it.
Yeah, which it does make it sound a lot more appealing to people. if you have to buy a $1,000 phone now or just make $50 payments for I don't know 2 years,
$50 payments.
It does make it sound cheaper. And also just like from an emotional aspect, you probably won't get that hit as much. But that's a great way to run your fixed costs up each month, and your savings will go down.
Absolutely. Another thing that Dave Ramsey talks about that we might not necessarily agree with is paying off the smallest debts first. How does that affect in terms of like the total amount that you're paying? how's that going to affect your credit score and how much you pay over time?
Do you mean like which debts you pay off first? Like how will that affect your credit score? I don't think that will really affect your credit score. It will affect the total amount that you owe. Okay. So if you have a credit card with like 18% interest and then also student loans that are at 5% interest, you should pay off the credit card first.
Okay.
Dave's method is to pay off the smallest amount of debt first, just to kind of get like that emotional win kind of. Which one thing I do like about Dave a lot is that he takes into account the psychological aspect of economics.
Behavioral economics. Yeah, that's the small wins kind of a thing instead of the actual most beneficial plan of action or course of action.
Right, yeah. And he calls it the snowball method where, once you get going, it feels good. You're paying off debt and then it kind of gets you excited about it and you just keep it going. Whereas I think the avalanche method is where you pay off your highest debts first.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, that's kind of, you have to know your personality and know what is going to work better for you emotionally. That's kind of one of the difficulties with training people is you have to look at their individual psychology when you're making these coaching decisions for them. So kind of with the whole Dave Ramsey thing, paying off the smallest debts first and getting those small mental wins, or just going with the best course of action if you take psychology out of it. That's very similar with health and fitness. Do you just start by going to the gym once a week and start with these really small wins? Or do you just start with 4 days a week tracking your macros? I feel like you really need to know who you are and what's going to work better for you. Is it a lot easier for you to just go all in and start something? Or do you need those mental wins to start picking up steam? So I feel like if you're generally a more disciplined person, you can just go with the stronger course of action that might be tougher at first. But if you struggle with mental discipline, then for both what we were talking about with the credit, or on the health and fitness side with just small wins like going to the gym once a week or just starting to pack your lunch once a week. If you struggle more with mental discipline, that might be a better course of action for you to take. So I think you just need to know your psychology for both these things, for the wealth side and the health side, what is going to work better for you.
Yeah, because I mean, if you start out going 4 days a week and then you eventually stop, it would have been better to do the 1 day a week and just work up to a full week. Like the same way that it is with paying off debt. If the number of loans you have outstanding is really bothering you, and just getting those out of the way will motivate you to keep paying down your debt, that might be the better way for you, even though if you just put it on paper and it's just numbers, paying off the highest interest debt would be a better outcome.
Yeah. So I guess the lesson here with the second part of this, with the whole Dave Ramsey discussion, is know yourself and know what's going to work better for you. It's really discipline versus motivation, right? If you're really motivated and you want to go to the gym 4 times a week because you're motivated to do it, that motivation is going to fail, right? Same with saving money. If you're really motivated and for 1 month you try to save a bunch of money, but then that motivation runs out because you see your friends going out and you want to save money, but you also want to go out with them. If that motivation runs out and then you stop saving because you don't have these disciplines in place, you don't have the automated allotment to go into your savings to start investing. If you don't have those disciplines in place for yourself, and your motivation runs out, well, then you're right back at square one. So I think we can really sum this whole thing up with the credit and with which route to take for the gym and your diet. Are you really good with discipline, or do you use motivation to supersede discipline a lot in your life?
Yeah, because most of the time your motivation to do something will go away, and it's just your determination just to keep doing it.
Just consistency, just showing up every day, but not going to the gym every day, because as we said in the beginning, less gym, more gains.
Even though we may want to, I don't know.
Or if you do go to the gym every day, do mobility on some days and corrective exercise, and then on your other days, go and lift heavy and use some intensity. But if you are going to the gym a lot, you do have to make sure to bring your intensity down. You can't have a lot of intensity and a lot a volume.
Yeah. It's just, for those of us not on gear, that doesn't work very well.
Yep. We're a fully natural show here. So that's the advice that we give whenever we're giving fitness advice, because it is very different if you are using steroids. The advice is going to be very different. And I feel like that's one area of the fitness space online that people get a lot of bad information from, is they look at what pro bodybuilders are doing. It's like, you're not a pro bodybuilder. You shouldn't be doing the same thing that they're doing. You need a different prescription, a different plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the kind of scary things is I think steroid use, especially in high school, is going way up because they see all these bodybuilders that are that big and want to look like them. And, you know, if you get stuck on a plateau after lifting for 2 years, you'd be like, up. Time to go on some tests.
Just because you plateau doesn't mean you need steroids.
Yeah. Even though we do have an episode on avoiding plateaus, one of which is not steroids.
Yes. I forget which episode that is, but we'll link it right here. So, Nick, do you have anything else today for us?
Nope. If any listeners have any questions on credit, feel free to send us a message. I'd be happy to answer.
And if you're interested in winning one of the monthly $5 Starbucks gift cards, make sure to share our podcast in some way. If you share it on social media, make sure you tag us so that we see it and we can give you credit for it in the raffle. Or if you share it with a friend and you get them to start listening, send us like a screenshot or something. We don't really care. Just let us know somehow that you've shared it, and we'll give you a drawing for that monthly gift card raffle. All right. Have a nice day, guys. Thank you.